Hi, Chris Mack here, having another conversation with an old pro. And I am talking today with Mark Hochberg, who is probably the most talented musician I have ever seen in my entire life, and I have seen a few. It's been a long life. So, Mark, tell me, how long have you been playing the piano as beautifully as you are? And I know you started playing as beautifully as you do.
Well, I started playing about 5 years old. I wouldn't say I played as whatever I play like now. I don't know if I played back then, but it started. I didn't remember taking my first piano lesson. My parents started me on the piano. My mom tells it that when I was 6 months old, my grandmother was holding me and she said, "Mark's humming a tune."
Oh my.
So I don't know where it went from there, but the next 4 or 5 years, I guess they couldn't afford to get a piano, or they didn't know what to do yet. So my mom says, "You had asthma as a kid, so we didn't think you'd be a good horn player." You were left-handed, so we didn't think you'd be a good guitarist, violinist, or whatever, string player. But I used to like to bang with my hands. So they said, let's try him on the piano. So I think that's how they started me on the piano. The first early time I remember, I had a little red book where they put gold stars in there when I learned the songs. I took piano lessons until I was about 19 years old.
Oh, you did a long time.
But yeah, well, the story is that I play by ear primarily, and I was playing by ear when I was a little kid already. So a lot of the piano lessons, in my opinion, were a waste because they were trying to teach me to read music.
Right.
And once I got it in my head, I started playing it my own way, and that got the teachers a little bit upset.
A little. Did you go through several teachers because they were frustrated?
I had 4 teachers.
Okay.
I remember the second teacher I had, I liked the best. The woman, she lived in San Marino, California.
Okay.
She was a very nice woman. But we couldn't continue with her because she was retiring. Her husband was a vice president of some company, and they were moving down to Orange County as it worked out.
Oh, the rich place in Orange County.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So they found me another piano teacher, and I was with him a few years. I just didn't like taking the lessons, and I was too young to really say too much about it. I think my parents knew, my dad knew that he used to complain, "You think money grows on trees?
All parents
You better
do
practice."
That. All parents
But I didn't like
do
the
that.
practice. I still don't like the practice.
Well, do you have to practice?
Well, to learn what the music they wanted me to learn, teachers wanted me to learn, I had to learn how to read it. As a result, I don't read that well now. I can read mostly like chord charts. If there's a song I don't know and I want to learn it quickly, I can look at that till I know it. Then I don't need the chords anymore.
Oh, but you do read the music at a point that
To
as you're
a
learning.
point, I can look at something and get an idea what the melody is kind of like, but the right hand. But just to look at it is just a lot of gobbledygook.
Gibberish.
I couldn't.
You know,
It's just-
Mark is one of the most amazing people. He can hear someone sing and immediately put the right key in play. How do you do that? How do you hear that, Mark? Is that a question I can even ask?
It's just you can't really explain it. Like I'm playing, that's an E.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But it's just automatic. It just happens.
And do you think that that's a natural talent you have, or did you learn that somehow?
They ask people ask those questions if it's something that you learn to be able to have perfect pitch
Right.
or relative pitch. I see ads all the time. It says learn perfect pitch or learn how to play by ear. They have it on Facebook even.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know, because I was doing it at an early age, so I can't say that I learned it from a teacher. It was just something I
So for
was
you,
automatically
it's
doing.
totally natural.
I believe so, yeah.
Now, did your parents finally accept the fact that you were a pianist and you were going to do it your way?
I think, yeah, my dad passed away when I was 14, so he wanted me to continue playing the piano, and I would. I told him I would. My mom knew my talents, my abilities, and she didn't. They both didn't know what to do with me, what kind of teacher I should have. I mean, they didn't have the money to send me to Juilliard or anything, but.
And you probably wouldn't have liked that much anyway, right?
I wouldn't have liked it. It's too structured.
Exactly.
And, yeah. No, she told me after I struggled back in the 70s, I tried to be a freelance piano player, play with different groups, and I wasn't doing too well with it. And so she told me, get a regular job, get a full-time job, and when you retire, you can do whatever you want.
Oh.
You'll have a pension and all that stuff, you know.
She was looking out.
Mothers
Yes.
do that stuff.
Yes.
So she was right.
So
I played mostly. I can't say that I played that much during the time I was working, maybe weekends, but I was so tired during the week from my job that I just didn't feel like doing. I mean, I played for friends of the family. I'd play the piano, but I didn't really play that much.
What was the job that you had at that time?
It was an office job. We took reservations for people, for group camping, for different recreational things, and they liked me in the position. I tried to promote to another thing, but they said, "No, we like you. You have a good personality.
Oh.
You answer the phone good. You look good when people walk in." And so it was stacked against me. I couldn't.
Oh,
I
that's
couldn't
too
promote.
bad. That's too bad.
But it ended up, it was okay. And then finally in 2010, they had a early retirement.
Aha.
The city wanted to get rid of 1,000 employees, 1,400, 1,500, I forget what it was. So I was at the right age at that time, and I had the right number of years in that I could do it. They didn't. They added on a couple of years, depending what you had or your age, so that they can get you out of there. So after that, well, actually, go back up when my mom passed away a year before I retired. She said, "I think it's time you should think about retiring." So it worked out. A year after she passed away, I retired. Now I had an aunt and uncle. Her brother and sister-in-law lived down here. They moved down here. And he said, if you come down here, you're going to be so popular, you're going to be so busy. So he was kind of a pest, my uncle. So I kind of hesitated for a while, but I looked around other retirement places.
So you mean Laguna Woods by down here, right?
Down Orange County. Yeah,
Okay.
I was looking between here and San Diego, different places.
Okay.
And I decided this is the best deal. So I came down here. I didn't even tell him. I came down here. Found a realtor, and I found the place. And he was complaining, "Oh, you got a ground level place. They're going to be rats in the ground level place." But that's the way he was. So he finally went in there. They liked the place.
Oh, okay, good.
And when I moved here, I don't know what I wanted to be busy. I wanted to be involved in things. I wanted to meet people. I didn't know who I'd meet. And in the beginning, I met I still meet crazy people around here.
Okay, well, there are, right?
Yeah.
There are crazy people everywhere.
The first thing I was involved with was Sunshine. You know Sunshine. She
does a wonderful job with elderly people.
Yeah, at that time, she was doing shows with her husband, David, and other people. I went to TGIF on a Friday afternoon, and before they remodeled Clubhouse 2, they had an entry where they had a grand piano or baby grand when you walked in. So after the dance was over one Friday, I sat down. I decided to sit down and just start playing. So people from there, one by one, they started gathering
Around
around the
you.
piano. And I said, anything you want to hear? I didn't expect people to do it. I was just wanted to sit down and play. So Sunshine and her husband David were two of the people there. And he asked me, can you play this? And I played a couple songs, and he liked the way I played it. So he says, no, we could use it in one of our shows. They had another piano player, an older lady, but she didn't want to do it too much anymore. So the first show that I was in, I had played a couple songs to fill in for her. She did most of the show. And after a while, she decided she didn't want to do it anymore. So I started doing with her. Little by little, the more I played, people heard about me and said, can you play for, they had a fashion show one time I played for, and different things.
Well, you played for the
you get
garden
known.
club. People were just so impressed that you could just play anything in the world that they wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's amazing what's happened since I've been down here. I didn't think I would meet the person I was going to marry.
Aha! And one of our newest newlyweds. You will meet his other half. I'm not going to say better half because you're both so great in what you guys do.
Well, there's a big story behind that too, and I don't know if she wants to go into that, or if you don't hear it now, you'll hear it
Well,
sometime.
go ahead. I think she'd say go ahead.
Okay.
You tell.
Oh, you want me to? All right. Well, it's a long thing, but I think the first time I could have met her was I answered a singles ad in a newspaper, Jewish newspaper, and she said, I didn't know it was her. I just found out about this.
You knew who she was before you answered this ad, though?
No.
No, okay.
No, she said she was a disc jockey at a radio station at Cal State Northridge.
Okay.
And she did this kind of show music. And I answered her ad. I told her something about me. I don't know exactly what I said, but I didn't include a picture with it.
Did not?
Did not.
Okay.
And I guess she wanted a picture, so that was it. We never corresponded after that. Then there
Well,
was
you're such a gorgeous man. Why wouldn't you send her your picture?
I don't know. I just maybe from the description I was scared. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right.
Well, anyway.
You men.
Yeah. Well, another time, several years later, I looked at a condo building they had just built in the valley, and it turned out Sharon looked at the same building, but we didn't meet each other there. I didn't move in, but she bought a place there.
Wow.
And a few years later, they had the Northridge earthquake and flattened her. She was lucky she got out of there.
Oh, good
okay.
heavens. Oh, and you were lucky you didn't.
I didn't buy it. And then the whole time, my mom said, you don't have to go to the valley to meet a girl. You can be in our own neighborhood. I lived in Alhambra in the San Gabriel Valley.
Okay.
Near Pasadena, that
Right.
area. And to cut it shorter, she may think of other things to say. We have mutual, she went to family outings that I didn't know about in Las Vegas. We have mutual cousins.
Oh, good heavens.
Her mother's best friend was a mutual relative of ours, and we didn't even know. She has a picture. We have a picture of her. And so there are about the 3 or 4 things I can think of that we could have met 35, 40 years sooner, but we didn't do.
And
But
you
the fates
didn't.
weren't there. We weren't.
Right. And so you finally met here in Laguna Woods at a gig or at the Old Pros? Say it was at the
I
Old
thought
Pros Club.
originally I thought I was playing somewhere, and she said that wasn't. She said we were both performing for Sunshine. When she
Okay.
got here, she wanted to know what she wanted to be able to perform too.
Okay.
So she talked to Sunshine, and we were playing at the same place.
Okay, so you're going to give Sunshine the credit, huh? For getting you together. So that's
I don't-
another good thing Sunshine has done.
I don't know if well, I never thought about that way, but then I guess she got interested, and I don't remember the whole story. She remembers more about
Oh,
me.
well, we'll ask her about it then too.
She was after me quicker, I think, than I
Oh, okay.
I think. We better talk to her about it.
Yeah, you went, all right.
And I had my place. She has a cousin who lives here who was a writer, a successful writer for TV. She wrote for L.A. Law
Right.
and Cagney and Lacey, Terry Fisher. And Terry was the one who got her to move down here. And they both found the place. Terry said, "This is the place you're getting." It had a nice backyard because she had her dogs.
Right.
And so after we knew each other, I'd go there for dinner, but then I'd go home. And it
Until
got to
love just came, right?
Well, it was about 3 years before we got married, but we got married during COVID.
I
It was a bad
understand
time.
that, and I'll bet you she can tell us a funny story about your
Oh, yeah.
wedding too.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I'm gonna. Well, let's save that suspensefully.
Yeah. Before that, earlier last year, I had some surgery, which luckily went well. And,
Yes.
And
You
then
had eye
COVID hit. When I was
surgery.
feeling good, COVID hit, and then I was locked in longer than other
All of
people.
us, right?
We were all locked in. And we got married in July, and she can tell you a lot of
Mark,
stuff about
what great time you have had, and it has just been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank
I am
you.
so anxious to spend a whole lot more time listening,
there's other stuff,
listening to
yeah.
you talking as well as listening to you playing. Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you, Chris, very much. Thank you.
Welcome to Conversations with the Old Pros. My guest today is Sharon Rosen. I'm sure a lot of you recognize Sharon because she's a major force in the community. I think we see you quite a few places. But before we get into what you're doing these days, Sharon, give us a little bit of your background. I know you've had a wonderful background.
It's been quite a ride. Well, theatrically speaking, I was a very shy kid, and my mother thought, well, no, I was very shy. No, I would say even through high school, nobody heard my speaking voice. My singing voice, yes, but nobody heard my speaking voice except for my very close friends because I was really shy. But my mother thought maybe if she gave me guitar lessons and I could sing a little bit, maybe it would help me be less shy. And later she said, I created a monster, I don't know. But so I started performing on stage with my guitar, singing when I was about 10, and started to do plays in junior high. I got my first part in Life with Father because I was the only kid who could do a convincible Irish accent. So my big line, "What's wantin'?" Okay. Yes. And from there, you know, when other kids were listening to rock on the radio, I was listening to Broadway shows and dancing around my room and dreaming of being Julie Andrews. I had a voice like that then, no more. And I've done a pretty good amount of musicals in my day. I never had the nerve to go to New York and try, so that didn't happen. But I've done a lot of community theater and mostly the comic relief parts. You know, in South Pacific, I was Carrie, the one who sings Mr. Snow, and in Oklahoma, I was Ado Annie, and Guys and Dolls, I was Miss Adelaide. Now, my original intention in life, having given that away just now, was to be a cartoon. My mother said when I was 3 years old, I'd walk around the house doing imitations of Zsa Zsa Gabor, and she said, "Where did this kid learn to do this?" I did voices, I did accents, starting that young. And I always thought, I do voices, I do accents, and I thought that'd be the best acting gig ever. You go to the studio, you record your stuff, you go home, how much fun is that? And I studied with one of the biggest names in voiceover, Dawes Sputler, whose name you may or may not know. But at the time that Hanna-Barbera was the biggest, there were two men who did all the voices, and Dawes Sputler was one of them. So he was my mentor for a long time. He got me in the door at Hanna-Barbera, and the first audition I had there was with Paul Winchell, who was like, I'm standing there going, why does this man have to audition? They know what he does, but he couldn't have been nicer. And because of the way show business is, I got down to, we really like her, but she's famous. Over and over and over until my head hurt from hitting it against the wall, so I just kind of let that go.
Well, I hear nowadays when you're auditioning, and several of the people here in the community are, they ask you what kind of a following you have on Instagram and
Wow.
Twitter.
That's amazing. I'll have to
So
work,
it
I'll have to
hasn't
work on that.
changed
No,
much.
No, really, that's true. And I did some children's records for Disney. If you ever come to my house and you see that gold record, it's real, it's mine. Because the read-along Lady and the Tramp went gold. I was also on Mickey Mouse Disco, which went platinum, but at the time that the platinum album came out, they didn't just give those away. You had to pay for them yourself, and I had already started working in radio at that point, which paid garbage when you were in a small town. So I couldn't afford to buy it, and I never got my platinum record.
Oh, that's horrible.
I know, it's
Can
very
we
sad.
take up a collection and get you one now?
That'd be great.
Yeah. What was the small town you were in?
Well, I started on radio at Cal State Northridge doing a Jewish music show on Sunday mornings. And after a while, I went, oh, I could do this. And I went to Northern California, where I knew one person, to the town of Eureka, where they remind you that their Northern California, San Francisco, is Central California.
Yeah.
True.
And I was on the radio there for several years in Eureka. And boy, was that fun. Didn't make any money at all, but boy, was that fun. Then I went from there to Napa, and I was on the air in Napa for a few years. That was much better because Eureka is so isolated. It's gorgeous, but living there every day, all the time.
Did you do ads for the wineries while you were in Napa?
Oh, yeah. In Napa, I was the production manager, so I wrote and produced 90% of the in-house commercials.
Great.
And voiced, with all my different character voices, about 80% of them. So, in fact, when I left Eureka, one of my coworkers there said, we're going to start a pool as to how many months it's going to be until your voice is actually off our air, because I was on so many commercials. So I wrote and produced the commercials in Napa. And then I came back down to LA, and I stayed in radio. Overall, I was in radio around 30 years, probably most of that in LA. I started as a country music disc jockey back in LA on KLAC back when it existed and it was a country station.
Right.
And I also did classical announcing and rock announcing. It just depended on where I ended up. And I ended up working for Metro Traffic for a long time and doing traffic reports.
Oh.
And it was very funny because while we would do traffic reports for KFWB, we were also doing traffic reports for the station out in Barstow. Just flip a switch and you're on Barstow. And my uncle, I was driving to Las Vegas. There's a Sharon Rosen out in the desert on the radio. Did you know that? It's me, Uncle Lenny. So, somewhere along the line in there, I refer to it when I was in a show when Theater Row was first coming up in LA. I was in a show on Melrose, and I refer to it as my unfortunate tap dancing accident.
Oh, tell us.
We were rehearsing and we're tap dancing, and I went to do a scuff. Only my heel decided to just keep going, and I landed on my rear end and dislocated my coccyx. But I didn't know that, for many years. And people would ask me why I'm limping, and I didn't have any pain. I'm not limping. Yeah, you are. And every once in a while when I walked, I'd hear a thud in my hip, but it didn't hurt. I thought, that's weird. Paid no attention to it. And then when I was working in a small station in Simi Valley, one day I just had enormous pain, and we had a chiropractor who advertised with us. So I went to the chiropractor. He fixed me. I took quite a few adjustments, but he did. And after a while, I went, this radio business is not really for grown-ups. Maybe I should go back to school. And I became a chiropractor. But I stayed in radio. And then layered on top of that, I also being a singer, and at the time being kind of a seeker. I hadn't grown up with a lot of Judaism in my house, a lot of ethnocentrism, but not a lot of religion. I began to study to be a synagogue cantor. So people would say to me, so what do you do? I go, what day, what time? Because I became a chiropractor, had a practice during the day. I was usually on the radio either early in the morning or on the weekend. And Friday nights definitely, and Monday nights with my choir, I was synagogue cantor and teaching Hebrew school. So I was doing all three of those things at once. So 20 years as a chiropractor, 30 years in radio, 30 years as a cantor. I'm exhausted.
I bet. but not so exhausted as
Right.
when you came here and started getting busy with us.
Right, well, exactly. Going back to what my hubby said in a different interview, I needed to get involved, and I didn't know anything, but I saw Sunshine Performance Group in the Globe, and I called her and found out what it was all about, and I went there to rehearsals a few times, and Mark was the accompanist, and after a couple of times I said to him, which he probably doesn't even remember, that I just want you to know that I appreciate what it is you are able to do here. This is not normal. Just what song, what key, and he goes.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't going to say this, but I will anyway. So
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought he was gay, but I thought he was going to be my new gay best friend. So I was perfectly comfortable being around him. And we started to just hang out. And we went out to dinner one day. He asked me if I wanted to go to dinner. Oh, okay. And pretty much the first thing out of his mouth was, "People think I'm gay. I don't know why." I'm not. Oh. Well, first, change that banner picture on your Facebook page where you and your brother are cheek to cheek. That's your first thing.
That might have done it.
Because they don't look alike, so you don't go, "Oh, look, it's brothers." So
That's an interesting point, though, how wonderful it is to meet someone and get to know them as a friend.
Yeah.
And then find out they're more than just a friend.
Because I had always said, it would be so great if he was straight. I wish he was straight. And then he was.
Your wish came true.
It came true. So now I know in his interview, he did talk, will talk, I don't know how this is
About
gonna
how
turn out.
you two got together.
About how we got together and the strange background. My mother had my mother and father had very, very close friends who lived in Vegas. And Mark was on the phone with his cousin who lives in Vegas. And it made me think about that family, and I went to look them up online. And I see that on Facebook that the boy who was about my age, his first friend on Facebook is the cousin that Mark's talking to on the phone. So we got on the phone together and figure it out that they're cousins, we're best friends, we were all at his bar mitzvah together. And later all the other details got filled in that my mother grew up next door to these cousins, and in all likelihood, Mark's mother and my mother probably knew each other as kids in Chicago, but we'll never know because in this life everybody else is gone who could tell us.
Yeah.
But we just started doing things together, and
Just took you a little bit
Yeah.
longer to get around to getting together.
but that was a good thing. We got to know each other better.
Well, some of the things that you two have been doing together, of course, the classic one is Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah, that was pretty fun.
Oh, did we have so much fun watching the two of you. You as Lucy and Mark as Schroeder.
As Schroeder, and getting to sing that song with him playing the piano. You know something, Schroeder?
And he was such a deadpan when he was doing that. It was so neat.
It was
just
great.
a
It was
ton of
so much
fun.
fun that we got to do that together. It really was. And now we're working very hard on the music for Moonshine Mystery, and we've put together a terrific band, a really terrific band. I mean, I have little fantasies that this band will stay together after the show is over and we can perform, because they're really, really good.
Well, I don't know if it's thanks to COVID, but what had happened was that we've been out of everything for so long. The old pros just decided it was time to get something up, and we wanted to meet all the new people who have never been a part of the old pros before. And that was a fabulous reaction, the number of people that
really
showed
was.
up for the audition.
For the auditions, it really was. Lots of people we'd never seen before, which was fantastic. And Sheila Bialka and David Deering and Cheryl Stritch and I sat around a table writing the script and laughing a lot. And we tried to select music that we thought would be good, and then switched it around when we saw who was going to sing it, and added and subtracted, and I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
They call this now a jukebox musical because we're using songs that already exist. That's what they call them on Broadway. You see, if you're using songs that already exist, it's a jukebox musical.
Well, that explains, because we did the Magic Jukebox a few years back.
Exactly.
And that fit in.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was, I have to say, you were scheduled to play the lead in Moonshine Madness,
Yes,
or Mystery.
Mystery, yeah.
And this other lovely lady who is on one of our conversations, Kate Barkley, came in, and you had a conversation with a couple people and said, got to give it
She's
to
got to do
her.
it, yeah.
I mean, there aren't too many of us ladies that are willing to give up something that we know is what we want to do.
I wrote for myself. In fact, I used a conjunction of my first and middle name for the character. My name is Sharon Diane. Cheyenne.
But I really have to hand it to you.
She's going to be fantastic in the part, yeah.
And we still have you doing a couple of songs in there, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I get to do a couple of songs that I really like, so I'm very excited about that.
And I have to give you credit on top of everything else as a musical director for so many of our productions, some of the things that I've been working with in other venues like the Concerned Citizens for Peace Day. And you just step right in there, bring that lovely man, Mark Hochberg, along with you, and just jump right in and help out. And it's really appreciated.
Well, thank you. I mean, 30 years as a choir director with people who mostly didn't read music, you know, so I got this.
Boy, do you ever. Sheila was just saying, I can't get, she said, the ear, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
Oh, that's
anyway,
nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for all you do. And
thank you.
Many more to come.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, you're welcome.
And all your help with all I do that you do too.
Wow, we like each other. Terrific. And I hope you like the Old Pros. We have a lot to offer, so come see us when we're offering our next production. Thank you.